Welcome back to Big Herb the Nerd and the second video in this How to Play Football Manager series as we look at the first few days setup. So you have got into your game, you have set up your leagues. If you haven't, then go and watch the video that came before this one that tells you the best way of optimizing to get the max out of your game, the max out of your PC. But now we are in. We've taken our first job. We've stepped into the boardroom. We are the manager of West Ham United. So what do we do in the first few days to get ourselves set up and to give us the best chance as a new player to understand how the hell to play this game we call Football Manager? So you'll start in the boardroom after taking your job. Karen Brady here, welcoming us in. We've got just a little bit about what's going on with everybody. A bit of the club background. Stuff was all here last year. You then go into, your team. Who is essentially they're saying the best team that you have, your top 11 report. We'll decide who the top 11 is. The club culture, so the vision and the culture of the club. This will be what you'll be judged on. So we saw this when we picked the team in before we got through to this screen. A bit around the club culture, so playing attacking football, not signing players over the age of 30, yada yada yada. You can also see whether they're desired or preferred. Interestingly, they're round the wrong way, because desired is ranked higher than preferred. So actually, signing high reputation players, signing players under the age of 22 for the future, and developing players are what they're going to judge us on the most. You need to stick to these ones. These ones, maybe you could break or change. You've then got the 5-year plan. Maintain self-sustainability. That means they don't need to put loads of money in. We need to make as much money as we're putting in. Bloody West Ham board. And then Premier League, what's our requirement required is a mid-table finish. FA Cup and Carabao Cup expectations in there well. And then gives you an idea of going forward. Become recognised as best of the rest. End of season 21-22. So that'll be pushing for outside the top 4. So outside of the big boys, can we come in 5th or 6th in there now? So that is good. I like that as a challenge to come through. So that's our 5-year plan. Obviously, we can help enact that as we go through the seasons, and then we can have meetings around whether we move these from required to desired, push them up, push them down. Going through then, if you are a new player, you've got all your induction schedules here. You can turn them off beforehand going in. And if you are new, it's probably worth going through them. They will go through on the days that they're planned here. You can get them all sent through to start all at the same time. And it's probably best leaving them to come through scheduled. So you take it up in bite-sized pieces. Inter-squad friendlies are proposed in there. I'll turn that off. You never have enough players. They're all on holiday at the beginning of the saves. And then you got backroom advice, schedule press conferences to meet the media. Yes, you have to do that. You have to meet them, and then you have to save. Get your local saves, get your cloud saves going, whatever you want to do. So here you are, the first screen. West Ham hire Herb as manager. Lovely job. You have here again. You got your tactics introduction. We will be bringing a separate tactics video to go through this. We've got our ability to negotiate or accept our current vision. We can accept it as it stands at the moment. I'm happy with that as our vision. And also, as a new manager, probably don't want to go in and try and change it straight away. I'm going to get myself firmly under the table before we do any of that. So you have your standard rules. You have a little bit of information coming in. We will walk into how to get yourself set up in terms of in terms of tactics and what tactics to select in a separate video, because that's a bit of a longer thing. But one thing we should go through as part of your as part of your first few days, that will help you a lot as you go through the Football Manager, is your staff responsibilities. So hitting this staff button here, going up to the top on responsibilities, they have changed the way this looks in FM20, added a lot more functionality to it and made it a lot easier to give away certain tasks. So if you are a new player to the game, you want to bring yourself in slowly, or you want to set yourself challenges within the game. So there are certain challenges you can do. So having a look here, you are the manager. This is your overview, what you do, what the staff do. But really, you want to work it through one at a time. So you can see here the board. Who's going to provide financial resources to the club? The spokesperson, hiring, firing, or the manager tells you all of this. You don't really have a say in any of this because it's the board. Moving down, staff. Here we go. This is where you can start to give away or keep different things depending on your level of experience and how you want to get into the game. So hiring and firing staff, you've got here that it's me. I can delegate. Just hit delegate and it'll send it to the person they think. Okay, they're going to say David Gold as the chairman. It could decide actually that I want to pick somebody else. So hitting the delegate button will just give it to the best player, the person that the game assumes is the best for that role. You can set all for that. So you can say for all of these categories in here. So if you're looking at hiring first team staff recruitment, I hire the loan manager, head of youth development, scouts, and do all the staff contracts. I could set it all and say actually set it all to the director of football. I could also take it all back to myself. So you can use this then to decide how much you want to do. So let's go through each of the categories and a brief rundown of what they do. So in the staff, we have managing team selections. So the under 23s and under 18s, if you have managers, they will be in charge of that. You then are in charge of the West Ham team. You can obviously delegate that if you want to your assistant. Probably one thing you're going to want to do is pick your team. Yeah, you're going to get a lot more advice around picking the team in this version of the game. But yes, if you're not picking your team, what are you really doing? Recruiting directors and hiring and firing of your first team staff is something that you could give away. If it's something you don't want to get into now, so this overview this overview screen of your staff, how well they do, bringing the right players in. If you want to stay away from that, then delegate all of this stuff. You can easily give it to someone else on your board. They will bring in, they will do all the staff contracts, all the staff signing. They will bring in the staff that they believe are at the right level for your club. So there's one thing you can give away just to give yourself a bit of space to concentrate on learning the tactics and the playing of the game. So if you are a new player, I would recommend you stick to picking your team, picking your tactic, and playing the games. And then you add bits from these responsibilities as you get further and further, as you become more experienced in Football Manager. If you are a larger team, you will have under 23s and under 18 staff. At the moment here, I'm in charge of hiring and firing the manager. I could get rid of that responsibility as well. But once you do have that manager in place, you can then put sort of all of that running of that team to that manager. So at the moment, actually, our director of football is doing all of the under 23s and all the under 18 stuff at the moment, whilst I'm looking after just the first team. So that enables me to step back from the under 23s and under 18s and let him run that. Of course, if I want to be in full control of the club, I could take ownership of all of it, run the entire club top to bottom myself for the full experience. There are tabs along the top here as well. So you have general, that's what we've gone through. That's more about control. Contracts is another one. So looking at renewal of contracts, who's going to do that? That is a tedious part of the game, I will admit. But if you want to keep control of your wages, keep control of the money spent, keeping control of contracts is a very good thing to do. So again, you can do the same here. And then you have advice and reports. So these are reports you get through. You can decide how often you get them, who's going to send them. Again, you can leave this as standard for now. Go on, Cole, son. You can decide who's going to get them. And also knowing your team. If you are in charge of your team, you bring your own staff members in, you'll know who's going to have the best attributes to do this. So if you're getting player development reports, or you're getting bits on transfers of contracts, picking the staff members with the right attributes for them. But again, this is something that you'll learn to pick up as you go through and hire staff. To start with, maybe just leave it as standard. Next down, we've got scouting. Scouting, a big area of the game. If you have attribute masking on, which means you cannot see all the players' attributes in the game, you will need to get into scouting. You need to scout players. Scouting has been improving year on year with Football Manager, where now it can be used as part of a full program of the game. So you don't have to go searching a wonderkid list. You can send your scouts out. They will go and find very good players, and you can set them to do what you want to do. Here, you can decide whether you set them. If you've got Chief Scout, he can do the scouting assignments for you, so you can leave them running themselves and deciding where they're going. You can give them short-term objectives, but another video we will have is on judging players and bringing players into your club. Scouting meetings is something you can set as well, and you can also got a few options here around when you scout players. What do they do? Do they go to shortlist? Do they not? When you scout a player, how long do they watch him for? Lots of little bits that you'll pick up and understand the more you get into the game. Transfers and contracts, one of them favourite things. If you are doing a Director of Football challenge, this is where you'll go and give away everything. But here you have it split down into finding and assigning players to the first team, handling incoming offers, so buying players, selling players, outgoing players, so development loans, who's going to find loans for your youngsters if you have a team of youngsters, and a development centre is another area we'll look at in a further video. You also then have finding and assigning young players for the future. You can head this out to your head of youth development or to your director of football, depending on how big your club is. Again, though, it might be something that you want to hold on to yourself, or this one down here, the finalising of the sales. So you have the last say on the work that they do. So my head of youth development is called Ricky Martin. I'm assuming it's not the Ricky Martin. He will go and initiate the player sales for the under-23s, negotiate the sales, but I have to sign on the dotted line. So therefore, I can let him do most of the work, but I always can keep that little bit back for myself to ensure that we're not getting a bad deal. We're not getting screwed over anywhere. That runs down again for this hiring and buying and selling for both under-23s and under-18s. Much the same, the contracts, who does the contracts for the players, for under-23s, under-18s, and for the West Ham first team. I look after the first team. I've got Ricky Martin looking after the younger ones. Again, I could take back that control myself to ensure that we're not wasting money. We're not giving players contracts with clauses that I don't want. But again, as a new player, you're not going to get screwed out too much by your staff doing this for you. Offering to clubs is when you're trying to get rid of players. If you offer to clubs, you can set certain things. You can also, for development loans, set sort of standards, like a template for them. So you do this in every loan you'd send out, but you can actually set them to say actually they're allowed to play in certain things. They're allowed to play or be recalled, and actually percentages of loans you want to make back. If you're a big club and you want the player to get playing time, you probably don't need the wage paid floor. But if you're a bigger club and you're getting rid of someone, a smaller club and you get rid of someone that they want to leave and they want the loan, actually you might want them paid for rather than giving away a player for free. So you can set this in here as a template. Media, who attends the press. We've got press conferences for new signings, press conferences in general, and tunnel interviews. Again, you can delegate these out to your assistant, whether you decide or not decide to interact with the media. Again, another piece that could be tedious, but isn't too big an area in the game. Morale manager is a big problem, so you need to make sure that you trust the player that you've got in there to not piss off your team by saying the wrong thing in press conferences. Training is the next one. We got first team training, youth team training, and the youth team, like under 18s, under 23 training. Who's going to run that? You can run the general training, so you will pick the training schedule. You can do the individual training. I tend to actually delegate the general training, which is the sessions they pick on a week-to-week basis, and keep hold of the individual training. That will be the one where I decide whether they work on specific attributes or whether I want to retrain players. That I'll do the individual training and review that on sort of 3-month, 4-month basis, and especially every year. Definitely everyone gets a look at what attributes they should be working on. You'll also get training emails that tell you if you've got it right or got it wrong. But there's a lot in general training now after the change in FM19, which makes it a little bit more complicated, and there's a little bit more to learn. So if you are an experienced player, then definitely take control, get into that. That's an area you could learn. But if you're a new player, I would 100% recommend delegating all the training, because it's something that you don't really need to manage. And your coaches that's their job, right? That's what they're pretty good at. If we then look at tactics, leading tactical briefings, providing selection advice is something that automatically comes from your assistant manager. So before every game, you'll get selection advice based on your team and how they've been training. Opposition instructions is something you can do, or you can set, again, your assistant or another coach to do. Again, if you're going to do that, you want to look at their attributes for those things. Do they understand tactics? Because if they don't, maybe don't get them doing the opposition instructions for tactics. So yeah, you can give away or keep things here. Under 23s and under 18s will be run by those managers, but individual instructions you could take control on if you wanted to. It's not really worth it. I would make sure you keep hold of maybe your tactical briefings and opposition instructions, because that can change the way your tactic works. Hold on to as much of that as possible. And the team selection advice is useful, but you can also change depending on if you've got better fit players, you think better fit staff members, sorry. You can change who provides your team selection advice. And the last one will be the match day. So touchline instructions in match, leading team talks in match, friendly matches. You might want to delegate your friendly matches to your assistant manager if you want to rush through the game rather than play them yourself. It's a good, especially for a new save, it's a good way of testing your tactics. So I would recommend playing your friendly matches. You also then can take control, if you wanted to, of your under 23s and under 18s. You could play every single match for your club if you wanted and go through. You can set automatically to have your first team players be available for under 23 squads to keep them match fit, but again, you can do that on an ad hoc basis, and also you get them to they will run the same tactic that your first team does. So your under 23s, under 18s will be training and playing the same way that your first team does, to ensure that there's that synergy between in the whole club of how the team plays and the philosophy and the football style that the team plays. So that there rounds out the staff responsibility screen. That gives you a chance to set in game exactly what you'll be doing, exactly what your staff will be doing, and help you get the best start in the game. Have them control as much as you need them to control to ensure that you can concentrate on the fun things. Buying players, selling players, and setting your tactics, all of which will be videos that will be following up after this one. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do hit that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. Check out the Let's Play series we've got with Real Madrid and Arsenal on the go. And be ready for the next videos that drop around judging players, around buying players, and around the tactical setup. The most important of things in Football Manager. But I will leave it there. I hope you have enjoyed. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.